Hi, I'm Kaylee Tatum, and I'm an undergraduate researcher from the University of Oklahoma. This project investigates the morphometrics of ancient bear bones to provide cultural context for use in educational outreach and modern polar bear conservation. These bones were found at the Margaret Bay archaeological site on Unalaska, an island in the Aleutians. This site was originally dated to be 4 to 5,000 years old and was inhabited by the indigenous Unungan peoples. The Unungan are a subsistence-based seafaring people who have lived here for more than 10,000 years, but much of their history has been lost due to colonization. By investigating these bones, we're trying to understand more about how their ancestors lived, what they ate, who they traded with, and what kinds of animals they were hunting. Because here's the problem, these bones aren't actually supposed to be here. The Anungan have no record of interaction with bears, and no bears live on Alaska today. Brown bears don't live this far west, and the sea ice never reaches this far south for there to be polar bears here. So, what's going on? Were they trading with the Inuit for polar bear, or maybe the Kodiak for brown bear? Or was this a sign of scarcity where they had to use non traditional resources? To answer these questions, we need to determine species. So, we did a comparative morphometric analysis of the bones. This means gathering linear measurements of our unidentified bones and comparing them with museum bears. We then ran a PCA on these measurements to compare the clusters between each population. The graph in the middle of the poster shows the comparison in metacarpal morphology between brown, polar, hybrid, and our bears. Although the skull is most useful when differentiating two closely related species, most of the bones from Margaret Bay were postcranial, so we couldn't get any definitive data from this. We're now working on the genomic data from our bones to solidify species ID, determine the number of individuals, and their relationship with modern bear populations. The other part of this project is educational outreach. We created an activity packet to give back to the museum and Indigenous tribes for their use. This activity guides students through a mini dig based on our work with this project. We took 3D scans of each of the bones to make models for the kids to interact with as a hands-on element. Shown in the poster is a picture of fourth grade students in Tulsa, Oklahoma, working through the packet and using those models to really engage with the activity, which they loved, especially after COVID and online school. All of this is part of a larger project looking at climate change during the neoglacial era, when sea ice came further south, which would have expanded the range of polar bears. This would have allowed them to eat different things and breed with different populations, which we're currently working on through the genomic and isotopic data. By studying how polar bears adapted to climate change in the past, we can make a prediction for what they'll do in response to anthropogenic climate change in the future. Thank you.